So writer's block isn't the only thing that can keep you from writing. Sometimes you just don't feel like writing anymore. Not because you have no ideas, but because it feels like a chore. When you don't enjoy writing anymore, you're gonna eventually become unmotivated and totally apathetic. You might not even finish your project. But just like with writer's block, there are some simple things you can do to enjoy writing again and get back on track with writing your novel. Some of these things have worked for me, while others have worked for people I know. So here are 6 ways to make writing fun again. First thing you can do is make some bonus content. I think sci-fi and fantasy authors are gonna find this particularly helpful. You've already done a lot of world building, maybe even too much. So you can take some of the background elements that you didn't use in your novel and add them as bonus content on your author site. Stick to content related to your current project and write whatever you want. You can make mock encyclopedia entries like news articles, even author commentary, or you don't even have to write. You can make some AI art or some maps. These can be things that are relevant to your story, or they can just be world enhancing details. The point is just to make this content for fun. It's not necessary, it is totally extra, but it's a fun way to take your current project and take the universe that you've developed and do something that is less work than actually writing out a full novel. It might pique your interest again in what you're writing and in the universe that you've created. You're going to be reminded of what it was like to write purely for your own enjoyment. You didn't have any word count goals or any page count goals. You just wanted to get your ideas out there. And bonus content can get you back into that mindset. Okay, and then the next thing you can do is make a book soundtrack. This is going to sound kind of silly, but just hear me out. Music is a powerful thing. If you listen to a heroic sounding song, it can make you feel braver. You listen to a really somber song, it can make you feel sad. Really, music can set the mood. It can shift your brain right into a specific headspace. So think about the mood of your novel and what kind of emotions you want your reader to feel. Then put together a playlist of songs that puts you in those moods. You can even pick a song for each scene and treat it like a soundtrack for your book as if it were a movie. So when you start thinking of your novel more like a screenplay and can picture it on the big screen, it makes it a lot more exciting. Your book will really come alive and it'll be a lot easier to kind of visualize the scene, feel what that scene is supposed to make you feel. And I think it's just inspiring. Anytime I was having trouble writing my sci-fi novel, I would play music like this that really got me in that mindset where I was like, oh, if this was a movie, this is exactly what would be playing during this scene, and made it a lot easier to write, and it really kindled my interest in it again. So try it for yourself and see what it does for you. Now, the third thing that you can do to enjoy writing again is to set aside your work in progress, at least for now. When your work in progress is starting to feel more like a job than a pastime, then it may be time to set it aside temporarily. Honestly, you might just be getting bored with your story, and this is especially true if you've been working on it for a while now. It's turning routine and not in a good way. So when I say to set aside your work in progress, I'm not saying that you should take a break from writing altogether. I'm just saying to work on something unrelated for a while. Write something just spontaneous, unplanned, and probably a little messy. You're not trying to write a masterpiece here. You're not even trying to write another novel. All you're doing is writing and just writing something fun and kind of silly and pointless that you're probably not going to use in the future, but was just a good way to keep writing and have it be something amusing. Don't judge what you've written. You're basically playing in sandbox mode right now. So once you start having fun again with writing, because you're writing something with no pressure, like you're just writing whatever you want, you're not sticking to an idea that you had already set and basically set rules for yourself. This is just something fun. So once you start to find writing enjoyable again by writing something kind of meaningless, you can go back to your previous work in progress and dive right in. Now that you've got some momentum, it'll be a lot easier to finish writing your novel. Okay, and another thing you can do to make writing enjoyable again is to talk more about your work. You might have lost some interest in your work, but that doesn't mean that other people are going to. I feel like so much of the writing process is internal. So you're going to be working on this big project, but you're probably doing it alone. You might not even really be telling people about what you're doing as you're doing it. So you may have been working on a certain scene and no one knows about that. Like you're really not talking about it. You might share it after you've published your novel, but while you're in the process of writing it, I think a lot of people do that in isolation. But if you start talking more about it and you start telling people what you're currently working on, that's going to get them excited about your project. And you're going to find that that excitement is contagious. The enthusiasm of others is going to make you enthusiastic again. It's fun to answer questions about your plot, your characters, or your message. You can bounce ideas off of each other and find where the plot holes lie. And quickly, you're going to be reminded of what it was like when your story was new and exciting. Just like it is for that person you're talking to. They don't know anything about your story, so all of this is new to them. Sharing it will pique their interest, and by extension, you're going to find yourself more interested in your own story as well. That leads me to the next thing you can do, which is engage with other authors. You can go even farther with talking about your book with other people by joining a writing community online. They're all over the place on social media, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, or Reddit. You're going to find other like-minded authors that can relate to you. You're going to find that people engage with all sorts of topics in these communities. Some people are looking for advice when they run into a problem problem with their work in progress. Others just want to share their work. And some people are just looking for encouragement when they're dealing with self-doubt. So these are people who are going to be able to relate to you and what you're going through. It's just generally good to surround yourself with people who can understand your experience. These are also the same people who can help you rediscover your passion for writing. Sometimes you just need to be reminded of why we write, and your peers can help you do that. When you surround yourself by people who are excited about writing, it's really going to remind you of why you once were as well. And like I said, that excitement is contagious. Okay, and then another thing that you can do to make writing enjoyable again is to read what you've written. This is simple, but it has worked for me. Take a short break from writing and go all the way back to the beginning of your work in progress and read everything that you've written. And when I say that, I mean to read it uncritically. Don't judge what you're writing. Don't edit what you're writing. The point isn't to edit or proofread. It's just to remind yourself of how much you actually accomplished. I feel like too often we write each scene almost in a bubble. Like you're writing one scene and then the next scene and then the next scene, all kind of one by one. And when you do that, you almost compartmentalize it, and it's easy to lose track of exactly how much you've done because you're so hyper focused on the scene you're currently writing. So when you go back to the first pages of your manuscript, you're going to be reading the words of an author who was, at least at that time, enthusiastic and excited about their story. Even the words you use may convey more energy or just more interest in what you're writing. And if you haven't read this in a while, like say you've been working on this for a long time, you might even read the earlier parts of your manuscript as if they were written by someone else. Like that's how much time has made you more objective. And sometimes you'll surprise yourself with how good some things sound. That in itself can be encouraging, but I think that the main point is that you can see you put a lot of work into this. It's not all for nothing. Even if you're stuck at one point and you're kind of disinterested and you don't really care anymore, look at how much you did care. And as you're going back and reading those parts of your writing when it was still fresh and new and exciting, you can then take that feeling back with you when you start writing it again. So my point is that writing doesn't have to be a chore. We started writing because we enjoyed it. Passions should not feel like chores. And when writing becomes more work than actual pleasure, you should find a way to regain that sense of excitement. It's not going to be gone forever. And I think in the end, finding a way to remind yourself of that joy of writing is going to help you finish your novel with enthusiasm. And I really think your readers are going to notice as well. Okay, and then quick side note before we wrap up for today. I know this doesn't seem like a huge accomplishment, especially for content creators who have tons of followers, but I just hit 500 followers, so I'm very happy with that. Thank you everyone who subscribed to this channel. I really appreciate it, and I hope that you found it helpful. But what I want to do in the future, and not just because right now I'm running out of ideas, I have a lot going on in my life, I would like to start doing interviews with indie authors. One thing that I found really hard when I was just starting out is it's not easy to find people who will give you a platform to really share your work or just, tell people about yourself as an author. So my goal would really be to give a voice to people who don't often get a voice. So if you've self-published a novel or you're in the process of self-publishing it and you'd be interested in maybe talking a little bit about your writing process or your story or just generally about writing and self-publishing, please send me an email. You'll find my email on my YouTube channel and on my website. But let me know that that's something you'd be interested in. I figured just do this over Zoom or something like that. So let me know if you'd be interested in that. I would love to have you on here. So yeah, until next time, if you found this video interesting or helpful, please like and subscribe. Follow me on social media. And as always, thank you for watching. God bless.